What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into TTP Sports. Couple of days removed from the Phillies elimination. Let's distract ourselves with some hockey, with some nice, orange and black Flyers who are actually off to a pretty solid start to the season. Not gonna lie, they're playing some very fun hockey, a very fun brand of hockey under John Tortorella. They've been playing really good their past couple of games, even though the past couple of games have resulted in losses on the road in Dallas and Vegas. They've been playing a really good brand, especially at home. Their home games have been absolutely fantastic, and that results in another win tonight at home against the Minnesota Wild, where they win 6-2. And I would say for, like 45, 50 minutes of this game, the Flyers completely dominated. Yeah, there were certain sections of the game where they got hemmed in their own zone by Minnesota. They tried to make that push in the beginning of the third period, and that beginning of the third period was not pretty by any means. It was kind of ugly. Not gonna lie, it was very ugly, allowing Minnesota to score those 2 goals to start the third period to make it a 3-2 game. But then the Flyers pulled out. They scored 3 more unanswered goals, and Bobby Brink showcase tonight. Bobby Brink has arrived, scoring his first 2 goals in the National Hockey League. One of them on the power play. The Flyers actually scored 2 power play goals. The previous 2 games, they've been freaking killing it on the penalty kill. They've been scoring, 3, 4, 5 shorthanded goals a game, it feels like. We got that last week game at home against Edmonton. They're scoring a shorthanded goal from Sean Walker. That game in Dallas, they scored 3 shorties, 2 on the same penalty kill. Holy hell. But 2 power play goals, that was something I never expected. One by Sean Couturier, and he's playing a nice, little bit of hockey, to start the season. He looks really good. He looks really good. Coming off of 2 back surgeries, I was expecting the worst. I was expecting that much from Coots because you don't know what it's like coming back from 2 back surgeries, and it's probably a killer. But Sean Couturier remains, he stays Sean Couturier. He battles. He's a warrior, and he goes out there and plays that 2-way game, that Selke type game that we all know and love. Adds a little bit something different to this Flyers squad. It definitely does. Travis Konechny with a nice snipe. Beautiful snipe to beat the Gustafsson for the first goal of the game. Like, holy shit, where did that come from? And TK off to a very hot start to the year. Travis Sanheim, too. Travis Sanheim has been really good. He's been really good. He bulked up in the offseason. He added some muscle. And, he probably took a lot of those trade rumors, all that stuff with the Kevin Hayes stuff, where Travis Sanheim was originally supposed to be involved in that trade that would send Kevin Hayes and him over to the St. Louis Blues. That whole fiasco that would have sent Torrey Krug over here, but before he did not waive his no movement clause. So I'm sure Travis, Sanheim took a lot of that to heart. And so far, he's having a really good start to the season. He looks really good. He has 8 points to start the year. I believe they played 7 games so far. He scored his first bingo tonight. He had 3 points. So, yeah, I'll classify that as a really good start to the season for Travis Sanheim playing on the top pair with Cam York. So maybe that's something different there. Maybe he just had a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder coming into this year. No Ivan Provorov. Torch is throwing him into the top pairing situation. He's playing a ton of minutes. And right now, Travis Sanheim is rolling with it. He looks really good, man. He looks really good. Maybe that's just something that he needed. We all threw Sanheim under the bus. We really, at this point, expected to be who he is, was what he is. A solid top 4 defenseman. He's not going to blow you away. He's going to make mistakes. He'll pot in some points. But he's not going to be overly fantastic. So far, right now, he's proving us all wrong because he's been playing really good. A really steady 2-way game, man. Steady and contributing on the offensive side as well. So that is very nice to see out of Travis Sanheim. And hey, Bobby Brink has been excellent to start this season. That line of him, Noah Cates, and Joel Farabee have been really good. And Joel Farabee setting up Bobby Brink for that beautiful second goal, that beautiful cross-crease pass just to tap it in back door. So beautiful stuff there. And, Bobby Brink even pouncing on the loose pucks. There were a lot of turnovers in this game for the Minnesota Wild, especially in that second period. The Flyers were just pouncing on a lot of those things, and it was very sloppy on that one power play goal by Bobby Brink. Travis Sanheim, he was playing a little bit of back and forth with Cam Atkinson, and Atkinson wasn't ready for the other back and forth pass, so it goes down low. Minnesota tries to get it out. They whiff on it. And Bobby Brink, playing behind the net, reads what the play is going on. He gets behind in the action, and he steals the loose puck and surprises the goaltender Gustafsson, puts it 5-hole for his first National Hockey League bingo. You love to see that. You love to see the emotion that he's showing there, celebrating with the crowd. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, not gonna lie. Bobby Brink, all that stuff that he did during preseason, now it's paying off for him. Now it is paying off for him. Gets his first 2 NHL goals. It was eventually going to happen. He was biting the bullets so many times. He was getting robbed so many times throughout the first couple of games of the season. It was eventually going to go for him. It was eventually going to fall for him. Now, hopefully the same thing could be said for Tyson Forrester, because he got robbed a couple of times in this game. He got robbed in the second period off of a beautiful pass and a beautiful save by Gustafsson. And then the third period, he had a wide open net and a beautiful pass from Travis Konecny that he just completely missed the open net. But he also did set himself up like a couple of seconds later on that very same shift with a nice pass over to Sanheim, which he potted that in to get his goal of the game. So Tyson Forrester missing the net, he sets himself up to get a nice assist to Sanheim for that goal. But it would be nice to see him get going. You did see Owen Tippett get going off of the Flyers, pouncing off of a couple of turnovers in this third period as well. Like, that was right when Minnesota was jumping into the game. That was right when they made it a 3-2 game. It wasn't pretty. A couple of, just collapses in the defensive zone by the Flyers. And it's a 3-2 game. Cam Atkinson pushes on the defenseman in the Flyers zone, pushes up to the ice, finds Owen Tippett, who's breaking up, and he just puts it through. That's his first goal of the year. So hopefully this gets Owen Tippett going, because in the first few games he didn't look the sharpest. So maybe that's just something that he is. He was a slow starter last year, then he almost finished with 30 goals. So maybe just getting that breakaway, getting that goal, getting that puck into the net, making it find Twine, maybe that's something for him to jumpstart his game. So that'll be really good to see. We all know how aggressive he could be on the forecheck. We all know how, John Tortorella likes to utilize Owen Tippett. So if he finds this goal-scoring streak that he can, do, hopefully this finds a way to build his confidence, because there's a lot of high things here for Owen Tippett after what he did last season. So that'll be really good to see. Joel Farabee gets a couple of, points in this game. Well, Joel Farabee, that beautiful pass there to a Bobby Brink. I can't understate that more. And just overall, just a really good game by this Flyers team. A fantastic game, not gonna lie. Still can't get over that freaking, Konecny even had a beautiful move in the second period where he made a guy break his ankles. He broke a guy's ankles. And sadly, he wasn't able to get the shot off. I think he was being a little too pass happy on this play. But he literally, I don't remember who it was for Minnesota that just completely fell over on the ice. But TK completely broke his ankles, man. So in TK, he's got quite a few bingos to start the year. He's got 6 goals in, 7 games so far to start this season. So that's very nice to see. That is, very good to see. So I like seeing that from a guy like a Travis Konecny. He always starts the season off hot. And, if he didn't get injured last year, maybe he could have flirted with around maybe close to a 40-goal season. So that would have been cool to see from TK. But, he got around that 30-goal mark. So we'll see how that continues to go. But if you look at the Flyers through 7 games to start the year, they're in first place in the Metro Division. Who the hell would have thought that? Who the hell would have thought they would have been in first place to start the season? They're 4-2-1. My God. I believe they are undefeated at home, yeah. In 3 games at home, they are undefeated, so that's pretty fun to see. Yeah. And also in that one game against the Dallas Stars, Dallas did go, this was, during one of the watch parties for the NLCS. Sadly, we'll never bring that up again until we talk about that tomorrow, most likely tomorrow night. Definitely stay tuned for a Phillies stream, most likely tomorrow night. Like I said, it was during one of those it was during one of the watch parties where we had the Flyers. I believe it was Saturday. That was game 5 of the NLCS, and the Flyers and the Stars on in the background. That was the game that went into overtime. And overall, it's just a funny things there, because the Flyers, they went down in that game. It looked like they were outplaying Dallas. Sam Harrison was in net, so he wasn't really having that good first start to the season. And they found a way to come back in that game. That was when they were scoring all those shorthanded goals. It eventually went into overtime. They lost in the overtime. He ran out of gas, and they left Joe Pavelski wide open, like right in front of Sam Harrison. So really couldn't do anything about that. But I wasn't able to watch the game against Vegas because, of course, that was Tuesday. That was game 7. We were all heartbroken after that. And, of course, that was an 11 o'clock game, and I wasn't able to freaking fix my Fire Stick to watch the goddamn game. So, at that point, from what it looked like, they got themselves a nice 2-1 lead. Hart was playing fantastic, and they just collapsed in the third period. That was basically it. And Vegas is off to a very hot start to the season. I believe they're 7-0, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're 7-0 in their first 7 games. I believe they're the first Stanley Cup champion to start the season off with that type of record. They're just on a completely different tear right now. They're playing fantastic hockey. They are playing fantastic. So, yeah, I guess if there's any team that you're going to choke a third period like that to, I guess it is the Vegas Golden Knights. They're just on an unreal tear to start the season. So, but overall, this team has been playing really good hockey. Do I think they eventually come back down to earth? Yes. I believe they eventually come back down to earth. Are they going to be as bad as they were last year? I still think they're around that, 7 to 10 range in the draft lottery and all that stuff. That's where I just eventually think they even out to. They just don't have that much talent. They're a very young team, but you never know what could happen over the course of, a full 82-game season. They started off hot last year. They came down to earth. They went on those, long extended losing streaks over the course of the season, and that eventually led to the record that they had. Like I said, I feel like they'll be moderately improved than they were last year, but I still feel like they're just around that, they're in that draft lottery range. So in that bottom 10 range, because I just don't think they have that much talent on the roster. But, with John Tortorella's training camp, this team is probably prepared more to start the season than other teams are. So that's probably why they get off to such a hot start. But if you look around the NHL right now, especially in the Metro Division, do you really expect the Carolina Hurricanes to remain at a 500 pace the entire season? They're 4-4 to start. I don't expect that. The Devils have only played 6 games. They're 3-2-1. Do you expect the Devils to keep up that type of pace? No, they're expected to be a Stanley Cup contender. They're expected to be top in the Metro, top in the league. Same thing with Carolina. The Rangers, they're 4-2-0, so that's basically around that expectations. Looking at the Atlantic Division, Boston's off to a very hot start to the year. Detroit looks really good. Toronto looks really good. Tampa Bay, even without Vasilevsky, looks really good. Montreal's off to a solid start to the year. Florida, they're 3-3, so we'll see how that goes. The Flyers do have their first round pick, even though it is top 10 protected. That would be nice to get a nice little draft pick there in the top 15 from the Florida Panthers. Ottawa's off to a very slow start to the year. Same thing with Buffalo. So if you're looking at the Eastern Conference and just looking at the teams right now, I would say most of these teams are better than the Flyers in the way that they're playing. I think the Flyers eventually do come back down to earth. The Washington Capitals, I would say right now, they're one of the worst teams in the conference, along with the Flyers and maybe the Blue Jackets. I think Pittsburgh's better than the Flyers, even though I do believe Pittsburgh's going to be mediocre as hell. I believe Ottawa's better than the Flyers. I believe Florida's better than the Flyers. Devils, without a doubt, are better than the Flyers. The Islanders are better than the Flyers. The Hurricanes are no doubt better than the Flyers. The Blue Jackets are no doubt talent-wise better than the Flyers. The Rangers are above beyond better than the Flyers. The Canadiens, I would say, probably better than the Flyers. Tampa Bay, no doubt. Toronto, no doubt. Detroit, no doubt. And Boston, no doubt. I do think eventually the Flyers will come back down to earth. But hey, it's a nice start to this season. It's a nice start to the season. And I know a lot of people are probably very pissed off about them winning games to start the year because they wanted them to they're still in the rebuild. They're not going to go into this season, we're competing. We're going to buy at the trade deadline. We're going to sell all these assets. No, they're not going to do that. They're still in the rebuild phase. They're still in the rebuild. They're at the beginning of the rebuild. They know what they're doing. They have a goal set in mind. And I still feel like with the way that they're playing, I know a lot of people want to try to compare it to the Ron Hextall thing, but Ron Hextall, they tried to compete and rebuild at the same time with a core that was in their primes. Now, this is totally different. This team is still, it's more young than it is filled with vets. I'm not going to lie. And the vets, they're not the top tier in the league. They're not like, Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek, Wayne Simmons, those type of players. Yeah, you got Sean Couturier and stuff like that, but overall, he's probably your best veteran on the team. And besides that, it is a major drop-off, but that's no disrespect to a lot of the other vets that are on the team. It's no disrespect to Cam Atkinson, no disrespect to Scott Lawton. They're not top-tier players. So that's basically what it is. Got a lot of youth on this roster. And I do feel like, even in a rebuild, I feel like it is important to go into the, to go to the rink every day, expect to compete, and not expect to get your shit kicked in, losing, 7-2 every night. I feel like it's good that you can go to the arena, you can compete every single night, even though that you lose, you still feel good about yourselves because you remained in the game. You kept it a 1-goal game. You battled. You forechecked. You made it a close game. You came back down from maybe 4-1. You forced it to a 4-3 game. Maybe you forced it to overtime. I think the way Torts does and gets these guys to give 110% every single night, I think that's going to benefit a lot of these young players in the long term. Just because that, their goal set in mind is not to do a rebuild for, 8+ years, 10+ years, like some other teams have been going through and have been just struggling to get out of. The New Jersey Devils, they were in a rebuild for a while. Yeah, they got lucky with, winning the draft lottery a couple times. They got Jack Hughes, who's most likely going to be a Hart contender for years to come at this point. He is a superstar. And they got a lot of great young talent. It took a while for them to get that young talent, though. They were rebuilding for a long time. They had to rebuild the rebuild. That's not what the Flyers are planning to do there. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they've been in a rebuild for a while. The Buffalo Sabres, they haven't made the playoffs in decades at this point. Well, not decades, plural, but a long time. When was the last time they made the playoffs? Like 2011? So, yeah, it's been a while for them. And they've been rebuilding for so long and so many failures and all that. I think for the Flyers, they're going to eventually come back down to the mean. I do think that's going to happen. But they're on a nice start, and I do think there's benefits to this team competing every single night. Knowing that you're not going to get your shit kicked every single day. You're going to go out there, you're going to give it your all, and if you eventually lose 4-3 or 3-2, something like that, it was competitive the entire time. Yeah, they're going to have their games where they get out forechecked. They're going to go into their games where they go up against teams that are just drastically more talented than them, and they're going to get, they're going to get their asses kicked. Sometimes that's going to happen over the course of an 82-game season. But who knows? Maybe they show up one day, they go out and play a team like the Colorado Avalanche, and they find a way to beat that game in a low-scoring contest because they played really good, they forechecked really well, and Carter Hart stole the game for them. It could be one of those cases. So, I do think there are benefits to that. I just think, I know it would be nice, to win a draft lottery, to get lucky with those picks, but you got yourself Matvei Michkov and Cutter Gauthier, who are going to be studs in this league. And you got some guys that are looking really good right now. You got Bobby Brink, who I think is legit. Is he going to be a legit superstar in this league? I don't think he's going to be that level, but I think he's going to be a really good player. You're surrounded by guys that could be really good players right here. Travis Konechny, I know some people would probably like to trade him just with the value that he has right now. I think he would be really important to keep for a rebuild. I just think the way that he plays, he's especially in a Torch-style system, I think Travis Konechny would just feed off of that. I think there are some guys that are definitely important to keep around for the rebuild, but I'm sure Danny Briere is going to do his due diligence and see what, if there's an offer that he simply just can't refuse. I'm sure he's going to take that offer. Danny Briere, Keith Jones, they got a goal set in mind. They're not going to stray away from the path. They're not going to. So, for the people that are mad just because they're not tanking, you gotta, step off for a little bit there. Step off for a little bit. They will come back down to earth. They're off to a hot start here. Once they start, seeing a lot better competition, like you saw it against the Dallas Stars, you saw it against the Vegas Golden Knights. Once they start seeing that, level of competition consistently, they'll probably eventually lose more. They'll lose more than they win. But they are playing a fun brand of hockey right now, and it's very much appreciated for that. That's what I'll say there. It was a good win, man. It was a good win. Good win. I did see that the Sixers also lost by 1 point, I believe, in this game. It was a fun contest there, so overall it was just, some good times. Good times. Good times. That's basically it. But it also means your Flyers are most likely Stanley Cup contenders when, you're in a group chat with your buddies and they're just constantly sending you gifs of the Stanley Cup. That's absolutely hilarious. So that's one of the best things there. But yeah, nice win for the Fly guys. Their next game is going to be on Saturday afternoon, I believe, against the Calgary Flames. They got a couple of home games lined up here. So if we look at that schedule for the the Flyers squad here just to see everything going for them. Like I said, they do play Saturday afternoon. I believe that is a 1 o'clock tilt against the Calgary Flames. No, it's the Anaheim Ducks, not the Calgary Flames. And then they're going to play Monday, the day before Halloween, at home against the Carolina Hurricanes. That closes out the month of October. And then you're going into November. You play a home-and-home with the Buffalo Sabres on Wednesday at home and Friday the 3rd on the road. Then you're back at home for one game against the LA Kings. Then you go on your early California road trip. That's definitely something that, is happening early right now. They usually do that around the New Year's. But they're going to be playing in San Jose on November 7th, Anaheim on the 10th, and LA on the 11th. And then they finish that up in Carolina, coming home. Then they're home for a few games, Vegas and Columbus, back-to-back home games. That's rare. And then the 22nd, they're on the road in the Brooklyn against the Islanders. No, Long Island against the Islanders. 24th, Black Friday, they're home against the Rangers. The 25th, they play the Islanders again on the road. And then they're home for 2 games to close out November, Carolina and the Devils. So they got quite a few teams that are, pretty decent coming up here in this month. They got Buffalo a couple of times. They got LA a couple of times. Vegas, Carolina, Rangers, Devils. So, and the Islanders too. Sorokin is definitely a pretty good stud back there for the Islanders in net. So, yeah, we'll see how this month goes out. They had a really good month here to start October. They got 2 more games left here. We'll see how that goes. Currently, they are undefeated at home. And the Anaheim Ducks, what's their record so far to start the season? I'm not sure if it's good or anything like that. The Anaheim Ducks, they're 3-4. They're 3-4. They got 6 points in 7 games. It's not the best. It's not the best. They got some young talent. Is Leo Carlson going to play, or are they going to, do the load management for the first part of the season with him during that? We'll see. We'll see. But I think that's what we're going to call it here, everybody. I do see some of you guys here in the live feed. I appreciate that channel name. Wanted to watch the Flyers tonight, but it was on ESPN Plus. Had to watch the Sixers instead. I think from what I saw on Twitter, the Sixers did put up a good fight. It was definitely entertaining. There was just some rust involved. And, with the Milwaukee Bucks, they got Giannis, they got Dame and all that stuff. So I could definitely expect. I know that a lot of people were saying they were fighting the refs as well. But it's game 1 of the NBA season, so we'll see how it goes. So how long until the Flyers come back to reality for the tank year? They'll come back to reality. They'll come back to the mean. Nothing happening on Saturday. We got no MLB team, sadly. Sadly, baseball is not real. No Phillies joke. I'm still deeply coping from the Phillies loss. Yeah, I think I'm just numb now. I think I'm taking it better than I actually would have. But I think I'm just numb to it. If you understand what I mean. Like, I don't feel anything. I think I got a lot of the emotion out on the recap on Tuesday. I think I got a lot of that emotion out then. Family grew up big fans of the Devils, but fuck them. I really got a touch of hockey, but I want to get involved this season. Yeah, definitely. The recaps for the Flyers this year will be more consistent. They definitely will be, since they have an actual path. Last year was just so uninspiring to watch them and talk about them, you know what I mean? With everything that was going down. But now that they have an actual path, they changed the front office with Danny B and Jonesy, and they brought a new face of the ownership there with Dan Hilferty, and they got a lot of young pieces here that are exciting. They also got Matt V. Michkov. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he's gonna be a stud. He's gonna be a stud. So and also Cutter Gauthier. Gonna be some good things there. So yeah, that's gonna call it for tonight, everybody. So I appreciate the people here that join the live feed as always. So don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to check out everything in the description down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Does me a great deal of service. Also use the code TTPSPORTS. $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal. Don't pass it up. If you want to get yourself to a Flyers game or a Sixers game or an Eagles game, you can use it for any of those 3, since now we're into the fall sports without Phillies. So at least that's something at least. But also, like I said in the beginning, definitely stay tuned for a Phillies stream tomorrow. We'll do like some type of off-season look, or a few days after the fact that they got eliminated, how we're feeling and all that. So definitely stay tuned for that tomorrow night. It'll definitely be maybe not around this late, but maybe like around the the 9 o'clock time and stuff like that. So definitely just stay tuned for that in your subscription feed. You'll see it pop up and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for joining tonight.